Warning, the following video is rated M for if you're young, you shouldn't watch this, so viewer discretion is advised. But hey, I won't tell if you won't. So Resident Evil 7 came out in 2017 and everyone was like,
"Hell yeah! I have the power of God!"
The game received mostly positive reviews, and after years of duking it out with the critics and fans, Capcom finally found some footing with their latest installment of that weird gunk stuff that collects in the sink with bad mojo mixed in, featuring dirty people yelling, the video game. Because Resident Evil 7 had the standard RE formula, but it gave it a modern twist to shake up the series once again. AKA, they broke out the next-gen gaming taser and lightning chain the thing back to life. Going from third-person action to first-person survivor horror, Resident Evil 7 was a first for the series, but it also went back to some of its roots to bring you a poop-your-pants-inducing, terrifying family experience. Cause this time you can see your hands closer than ever before. Be scared. But even though the change in perspective was fitting for the horror focus, not everyone was happy with the new approach and the game in general, accusing Capcom of swoozing in to fill the void that Silent Hills was supposed to fill in our sad, nihilistic hearts, you weirdos. People felt the game wasn't quote-unquote Resident Evil enough, cause it checked off too many of those modern horror game tropes. But lo and behold, it didn't really matter, because Resident Evil was one of the first AAA games with full VR support. And surprise, surprise, y'all, anything is scary when you have a toaster strapped to your face and the sensation of a hillbilly making out with your ears is all too real.
Welcome to the family, son.
And for the record, guys, I am going to be covering the non-VR version of the game. Not that it makes much of a difference gameplay-wise, don't you worry, but there are some slight differences. But Lord knows I'll never really know, because there's no way you're getting me in that white hell box since I love myself, and also I have a fat head. I'm not even sure if it'll fit properly. But anyway, if you're new to Resident Evil 7, here are a bunch of tips, tricks, and heads up for people who don't know about this game. So you play as Ethan Winters, a handsome... actually, we don't really see him that much. He could look like this in the beginning for all we know, but the game is in first person, y'all. What do you want from me? Anyway, you play as Ethan, a stupidly determined, over-loyal husband who receives a totally normal update message from his wife, Mia, who has been presumed dead for the last 3 years, warning Ethan to quote-unquote stay away. And being the total smarty pants that he is, decides to do the exact opposite of that and goes looking for Mia at the last place she was seen at, the good old nice warm southern living Louisiana Baker Plantation. I hear their falls are just lovely. But quickly after arriving, it's very apparent something ain't quite right in a creepy house in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, could be the abandoned TV vans, that's kinda weird, or maybe that dead horse gateway into Sludgeland, that should raise a few red flags, or hey, maybe that tape that shows people getting killed in the house that you're currently in! Nope! Still going? Alright! Well, despite all the warning signs the house is gonna be a bad time, Ethan still somehow dives in head first to find Mia. And after a fun little lover's quarrel, Ethan gets knocked out and is kidnapped by the family. And then he starts to mentally consider online dating for a little bit after some self-reflection. But it soon becomes very apparent that stuff is hella messed up in the Baker Plantation, and there is something much darker and sinister at work in the house. An unnatural evil keeping hold of the residents. A resident evil, if you will, and oh my god, that's the name of the game! But Ethan's limits are put to the ultimate test to escape the demented family's grasp and to help find a way to solve the mysteries of the household in hopes of saving Mia with whatever the heck is up with her. Oh, gotta get me a freak like that, hot dang. But along the way you'll meet receding hairlines, confused people, big boy toys, parental guidance, fragile drywall, angry licorice, Helen Keller mode, good fun omnipresent company, a desperate need for soap, home family cooking, shadow puppets, freakishly real ambient noises. The hell was that? Hands up for Jesus. Who designed this house? Sexual tension. Swamp stank, just terrible. Passive-aggressive doors. Bigger, better, stronger bees. Fresh country water. Personal space, screaming, yelling, bathtub socks, and learning what family really means. There's no joke for this, I just think this opening is really cool. Now obviously, there's a big fat 7 hanging on the end of the game's title, but fear not. No, you do not need to know anything from past Resident Evil games to understand RE7's main plot. This is a brand new cast, new situation, new funky gunk smells, new everything. Although, even though Resident Evil 7 brings in a lot of new, this is still very much a Resident Evil game and in the RE universe with some connections to past games, even if they aren't super apparent right away. So I can say that if you know the Resident Evil lore already, that's great! Here's a cracker! Congratulations on being that one person, because then certain things will fall into place way easier. But the fun part is discovering the connections to older games, either with the main plot or through reading optional papers, files, and little goodies hidden throughout the area. That adds more background and detail to the whole Black Goo crew.
Hey everyone, Karma got his kids for me. I can't go to Genesis right now.
It's a story that is straightforward for newcomers but rewarding for fans, so everybody gets to have a swell time, except for Ethan, who's gonna need a lot of therapy after this. I don't know, try to have fun with it, y'all. But stuff is as deep as you want it to be. You can look at this story as some desperate, dense numbskull trying to get his moody wife back from the in-laws that just need a good shower and a nap, or as a bio-monster mystery to solve because the southern lady on the phone promises answers and a plate of cornbread. But by the end of the game, all your burning questions will be answered in one way or another, like in the DLC Naughty Hero, available now for it's f***ing free! Check it out! But no matter which way you slice and dice the story, you'll probably end up getting sliced and diced yourself. But you get it? 'Cause he dies. I'm trying to downplay this, guys. He gets his head cut off. It's kind of gruesome. Oh, comedy's fun. Alright, so now you know the setup as to why you're trapped in the Banjo People's Mansion, but how are you gonna make your way downtown without walking too fast? Well, to break it down for you, Resident Evil 7 is a semi-linear first-person shooter survivor horror experience, if the horror in first person wasn't already obvious. Spooky! Now, your main objective is to find Mia and just get the heck out, but the game realizes it needs to pad out its playtime a little bit, and you're gonna come across a few rough bumps along the way, and things are gonna get messy. So to explain how your journey into Willy Wonka's Dankoland is gonna work out, the game is a combination of linear sections where it's stand here, hit this, run there, with some story, action set pieces, big spooks, and slappy Grandpa Pappy with the love paddles, mixed in with open areas to explore, filled with puzzles, enemies, and traps that require some type of item or a series of items in order to unlock more open areas, which eventually moves the story along so you can see more of this dumpster fire of a situation while fighting some fudge monsters for your dear life, and hooray, you're traumatized! Now, of course, the game is going to keep you on your toes since your objective is going to be jumping all over the place and stuff goes real south real fast, but for the most part, your objective will always be as clear as day in one way or another, mainly because you can check it whenever you're in the menu, and the check on the phone will literally scream in your ear about what to do next. But rather it be escaping smelly Grandpa's beaten stick or navigating a tunnel full of pudding, it is important to stay alert and think critically to get out of situations so you don't get your face peeled off by whatever the heck that is, and hey, back it up! Hey, leave me alone! Now, in linear sections, it's pretty easy as to what you're supposed to be doing. Don't die, go here, pick up this, hide for a little bit, and be yourself and have fun. But most of the big objectives will always include finding key items since that's what makes the magic happen. But when you get access to the more open areas, you might feel a little overwhelmed with your options and where the key items are. Now, it is pretty obvious which areas will progress the story, hint hint, the big doors of exotic flavors, but it is important to be mega thorough and explore all the areas to make sure you get everything you need to make this crappy vacation kinda worth it. And then you oh god, why'd it get so dark suddenly? Hello? Oh, this is weird. Oh, I don't like it. What the fuck? Now, key items are a must for opening doors and whatnot, but some items are critical to solving puzzles, and those can range from raising bridges, burning shadows into the wall, winding clocks, and then some puzzles don't require items at all, and all you can do is just beat your head into the wall until God blesses you with one of the answers. But don't panic too much about the puzzles. You're a smart cookie, I'm guessing, since you made it this far into the video without having a piss baby temper tantrum. And most, if not all, of the puzzles are logic-based and normally can be solved within the immediate area if you got all that you need. And ding dong, we in business, boys! Now, this is a big FYI. You will be able to backtrack like 85% of the game in order to unlock older areas once you get the right items, so be mindful of locked doors when you find them, because chances are you'll be back. Oh, you'll be back. Because those doors are sexy. Oh my. So like you come here often? But the best way to make sure you get everything that you need so you don't run around in circles forever like a chicken is to interact with everything. Like for reals, guys, if you got the slightest hunch you can move, open, shoot, sniff, tongue, or punch something, just do it. Because you might find some neato stuff in the process, am I right, guys? Ah! Now, truth be told, the shake and bake smelly zone isn't all that big, and if you feel like you've missed a spot, you can always check your map to help you make sure that you covered everything from head to toe. Leave no door unlocked, no room unexplored, along with looking for, I'm sorry, what? Now, assuming you explore stuff properly, you'll come across tapes which can be used in the TVs, and these things are mega important in the first playthrough since the tapes act as playable flashbacks since everyone has a GoPro strapped to their head apparently, so you can discover some type of information, strategy, or passageway that will help you later on in the game. Now again, these are playable sections, so get ready to duck, hide, and solve some puzzles in the process, but if you're going in blind, you kinda have to watch these things in order to not get bamboozled later on, so always keep an eye out for them, and don't forget to sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie.
Smell shiny and moist and obviously buttery.
Finally some good content. Okay, now in this ragtag, tootin', hootin', aggressive poopin' adventure, gameplay-wise, Resident Evil 7 is, let's say it all together now, a high-velocity lead adventure of death. Ergo, you're gonna be doing a lot of shooting. You like guns? Well, you better, because you're gonna be blowing off heads to expose the delicious gooey center hidden inside. Delicious. But for reals, when you start off the game, you'll have very little to work with weapon-wise, but as you explore more areas and progress the story, you'll get access to more weapons, little doodads, that make the difference between life, death, and a sense of support and comfort. Oh my god, I'm in love! Now, I don't think I really need to explain how shooting works. You point, you hit the button, and stuff dies, just like in real life. But the game functions like any other shooter, except for a few things. The first being blocking. By the pure grace of the Lord, barely any enemies in this game have guns, as weird as that would be. 90% of the time, you're going to be going up against enemies with melee attacks, and you're going to be able to guard against most incoming attacks if you block at the right time, assuming you're in kissing distance between you and Sugar Lips. This is kind of important, guys, because Ethan is a delicate little cupcake, and if you get smacked around enough, it's game over.
You suck!
Now, truth be told, if you're good at the game, you won't have to block at all, because the best way to not die is distance, D-I-S-T-A-N-C-E, distance! I don't care if you're shoved into a broom closet with some of these dudes or forced to do the sensual tingo tango, you make that space, you own that space, and then you run away from that space because he just stepped into my zone. Oh, back up! For reals though, most enemies are rather slow, so don't be afraid to turn around and book it, then pivot back, lock and load, and then opt from long. Reminder everybody, the best offense is a good deed, being a coward.
A message brought to you by the Clean Pants Society, because shitting ain't to us.
The second combat thing in this first-person shooter game is that you shouldn't be shooting that much. To be blunt, there is a great ammo recession in the Baker house, and stuff ain't exactly coming out the yin-yang, and it's very, very important to conserve ammo as much as possible. And I'm really stressing this, guys. One shotgun shell can feed a family of 4, so it's kind of a high commodity. We'll get into the item details soon, but always be on the lookout for ammo, and don't shoot stuff unless you have to. There are several situations in the game where you just need to run away, sit down, and shut up so you don't get powderized on sight. Back up. No. Now, granted, there will be beef jerky monsters in certain areas, and you should always give them the guacamole when you can. But when it comes to the family, trust me, you'll know when you have to fight, mainly because the game will lock you into a room with them, and it'll be really obnoxious about it. Also, an FYI, when in boss fights, be very mindful of your surroundings, because sometimes stuff in the environment is hell of a lot more effective than your little pea shooters. So when the going gets tough, start panicking and looking around the room for things that can murder people and save your little suburban white butt. Ah, gosh dang it backfired. Back to bullets, though. The best way to conserve ammo is to just shoot things in the face, since that's the weak point most of the time, and the faster things die, the less shooting you'll need. But certain enemies are weaker to certain weapons, so if you can't kill something, you probably need a specific weapon to light those suckers up to high heaven. Now, one thing to mention is yes, you do get a little dinky knife that can be used in combat to save ammo, but I don't recommend it at all. The knife is best suited to opening up boxes and slapping big bugs around, and that's it, because when in combat, it has to finish its swing animation before you can block for some god-awful reason, and going in for a bear hug with a sledge demon holding a spork isn't the best idea. But as long as you prepare properly, stay vigilant, and ignore all your natural instincts to run in the other direction and take a crying break, then nothing can stand in your way, because you are Ethan Winters, damn it, boring protagonist extraordinaire, ready to take names and kick butt, and there ain't nothing nobody can do about it. Except that! Okay, now I've already talked about finding the key items to make your way through the story, but Resident Evil 7 is like one of those stupid farmer, geese, fox, grain puzzles half the time, because you're going to be getting a lot of stuff that you're not sure what to do with. Can't stress this one enough, guys, but items are the key to survival, ranging from healing items, ammo, lockpicks, LSD, pictures of God knows what, maps, gears, and even repair kits for broken weapons. Hell yeah! But you're going to be using everything you get to stay alive, since resources are in mega short supplies, so it should go without saying, search everywhere. You're gonna have to look through nook, crannies, lockers, boxers, crates, kegs, barrels, carols, trash bags, body bags, chairs, lairs, high, low, up, down, all around, wombo, pombo, chicken combo, everywhere! Please and thank you. Cause if you don't search around enough, eventually you're gonna get cornered by a boss while simultaneously peeing yourself, and that knife ain't gonna save ya. Oh never mind. Now, some of the items you might come across are only meant to be combined with other items to create the stuff you kinda need. Like mixing gunpowder and chemicals together gives you bullets, and then mixing GB Weebies with chemicals gives you a tasty beverage you dump all over yourself to heal gaping holes on your body. The wonders of Gatorade, everyone. Now, the combining stuff is not exactly rocket surgery, guys. It's kinda hard to mess up, but it is a priority to make healing items and ammo as much as possible, because at the end of the day, not being dead from not dying by making other things dead is the secret to winning. And yes, that sentence did make sense, thank you. Now, a majority of the basic items you need will just be laying around without a care in the world, but you're gonna have to work to get the real goods. At some point in the game, you're gonna come across antique coins. Some are just laying around, and others are stubborn with an attitude problem. But these coins are gonna be used to literally unlock new weapons and special items, like increased health, faster reload times, faster movement, and funky fresh acceleration. The point is, always keep an eye out for these coins to beef yourself up, because they can do nothing but benefit you. You know what? I got a great feeling about this. Now, getting items is pretty straightforward, but this is a Resident Evil game, and you can't just be shoving shotguns up your butt. All this stuff has to go somewhere. So, welcome back to SBB's classic inventory management. What the do you mean I can't just drop items and put them back? Special edition. Now, hilariously, the biggest and most difficult puzzle in this game is just managing your inventory, because your space be tiny. More than once will you be mocked and provoked by the not enough space message when you try to strap a rocket launcher to your elbows. I honestly think the game gets a kick out of it, but this is where a lot of the game's backtracking comes from. In every area, there are a handful of safe rooms with a nice feng shui where you can save, get items, and the most important thing, dump your crap. It is mega important you drop off stuff in the boxes all the time, and to be switching out the key items you only need at that moment to make space in your inventory to pick up more stuff. Now, if you do get desperate, you can just straight up delete items from your inventory, but I don't recommend that since items are mega scarce. So I don't want to hear no moaning and groaning about going back to drop stuff off in the box. Now's the time to embrace the minimalistic lifestyle, y'all, because that extra space could save your life. Real talk, though, you should only be carrying the pure essentials with you. Just guns, ammos, healing items, maybe some chemicals, or a lockpick, and a fresh pair of underwear, and that's it. Everything else is just pure poo-poo garbage useless when you're on the move. Now, luckily, the safe room boxes are connected to the same cosmic energy, and anything you drop off in one will be in the other, so you don't have to worry about your stuff being separated. The boxes are strong, powerful beings that understand the need of keeping your items in the same place. Such beautiful sentient creatures. God, they're majestic. Anyway, the main thing to take away from this is that your inventory management is just as important as staying alive, because yes, this can of hairspray will banish all the evil in the name of the Lord our God! Die! Okay, between you, me, and the NSA agent watching you right now, Resident Evil 7's main game isn't all too terribly long, and you can blow through the story a lot faster than you think. But don't think that once you beat the game, that's all there is to see. Oh no, 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 because Resident Evil 7 has collectibles, unlockables, side content, and a crap ton of replay value to stretch that playtime out as far as it'll go. Oh, it snapped! Ah, damn it! Now, the first most basic collectible is actually something you can get in your first playthrough, and those are the Mr. Everywhere bobbleheads. Throughout the area are little bobbleheads hanging around in low-key areas, and all you gotta do is take them out before they take you out. Try me, but for reals, all you have to do is destroy all 20 of them in the game, and you'll unlock some neato stuff in the next playthrough, so keep your eyes peeled, or just look up the locations, information down below, because even if you can't see them right away, they can still see you. Of the major collectibles like unique weapons, infinite ammo, or bold and brash fashion choices can really only be accessed after completing the game, or by beating it under 4 hours, or by completing the game on Madhouse difficulty, aka I hate myself mode, which can only be unlocked after beating the game. You see where I'm going with this, guys? You want all the goods, you're gonna be replaying this game a lot, so buckle up, strap the George Foreman grill to your face, and melt your eyes out, cause we going to Flavor Town at max speed! Now, truth be told, if you don't mind giving up some of that coin and self-respect, you should really look into the optional DLCs, like the banned footage volumes that are a series of puzzles and mini-games with some story stuff sprinkled in, with mind-altering, terrifying imagery that has scarred me for life, or once again, Not a Hero, which gives you some extra closure to some characters. Throwing this in here again, cause you know, it's f***ing free. And then there's the End of Zoe, a hefty story DLC that answers some lingering questions after the main game, featuring hillbilly death punches to the swamp people. God bless America. You kinda have a lot of options with how you want to expand the Resident Evil 7 experience, but please know that this is a game designed to be played more than once. So take your time and have fun. You'll experience something new every playthrough. Lord knows I did, and people may be getting shish kebabbed alive, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about the destination, but the journey, and the friends we made along the way. Okay, so here are a bunch of tips and things you should know before you get started. Some pictures you come across will reveal the location of treasures. Keep them in mind when you get time to explore, and be thorough when investigating the area. If you're really desperate for health, you can just straight up eat herbs by themselves if you have nothing to mix them with for some baby health, but it's better to save them for mixing if you can. Always make sure to mix items and reload your weapons before going into new areas so you're not frantically navigating your inventory while being attacked. Really try to save shotgun ammo for bosses because that's where they're most useful. The jerky enemies can just straight up despawn if you run away or pass them far enough, so if you're not really in a position to fight, just book it. But try not to get stuck into a hallway with them, okay? Okay. Don't forget to rotate items around so you get all those angles so you don't miss anything important. The yellow pills help you see where items are for a limited time, and I highly recommend saving them for bigger areas to maximize item collecting so you can see all the things. The flamethrower is really only good for swarms of bugs, so try not to let it clutter your inventory when you're home free. If you notice the game is getting awfully generous with items right before entering a big room, you're probably about to get slam jammed, so be mindful of that. Also note that boss areas normally have items laying around, so nab those goods while you can. Use the repair kit on the broken shotgun when you get it. I don't think I really need to explain myself on this one. If you are playing on normal mode, the Magnum gun may look really enticing, but it's best to save your coins for the performance upgrades above all else. I'm sorry, Deborah, I know the truth hurts. Around the halfway point of the game, if the item crates start making ticking sounds, you probably shouldn't hit them. Ethan, you drooling gorilla, why are you like this? The Madhouse difficulty of the game makes stuff super hard and changes the item locations a ton, so play with caution, y'all. Just a little FYI, everybody. Resident Evil 7's story isn't a total done deal. You got some room to shake stuff up a little bit near the end, but word of caution with this. Remember what you came here for, and everything should be all good.
F is for the way you look.
God, what a power couple. So while Resident Evil 7 wasn't seen as a total masterpiece by everyone, the game did take a massive leap into a new direction to give the series a fresh breath of traumatizing air. But the game still kept its Resident Evil identity while reinforcing the idea that the titles are not bound to just one type of genre or design, but rather an ever-adapting and evolving series that keeps surprising people while sticking to the same goals, to make you really want to invest into a power washer and clean out your shower. But I hope this Basics Beginner's Guide makes your gaming experience a little better. So please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Well, this video is only technically a year late. Oh, amazing, I know. We finally did it. Thank you so much for sticking around and making it to the end of this little extravaganza. I want to give a hug and thank you to my lovely Patreon supporters. Without you guys, none of this would be possible, and it is because of you guys I can take the time to create videos I am very, very proud of, and I hope you guys enjoy them too. And this episode's Patreon shout out goes to Emma M. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and don't forget to go tell Aunt Rhodey. I think it's her name. Rhodey? Whatever. Also, a special thank you to these patrons who got the early access version of this video and gave me a bunch of feedback. Shong, Drunner, Danny's Eye Patch, and Shay Dillon. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and giving me the deets, your feelings, your thoughts, and stuff. You guys really help point me in the right direction. If you'd like to support me on Patreon and get access to a bunch of special perks like early access to videos and giveaways, go ahead and check it out. It helps me out tremendously, especially considering this video is most likely going to get demonetized because, you know, people's heads are getting lopped off left and right. Family-friendly content, right? That's what we all like. Besides that, that's it. Video's done. Go ahead. Twitter, Twitch, throwing out support. Whatever, I'm tired. Don't forget to follow that subscribe button and subscribe to that like button, alright guys? Get the heck out of here. Toodles.